Okay, so first off, I get the feeling before I get into the nitty-gritty, I should put up this little disclaimer. Breath of the Wild is the best video game ever made, ever. It's flawless, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, 8 out of every number, okay? I love it, I played for like 50,000 hours, and I'm gonna keep playing it for 50,000 hours. But that said, Breath of the Wild is the worst video game ever made. No, hear me out, hear where I'm coming from. Usually, you want to shoot for the climax to be the big, bad, awesome, super-duper extravaganza of epic culmination of everything that's been cooking in this video game pot for the player's whole playtime, right? Breath of the Wild's ending is more like, you get to Ganon's tower, and he's like, oh crap, you're here? Oh, I wasn't prepared for this. Ow, you hit me. Okay, I'm just gonna lie down now. The end credits are on TV if you want to watch. Or at least, that's what the true ending is like, assuming the player has invested all their time in completing every aspect of the main story. See, the really weird thing about this game is, the game actually goes out of its way in order to make the ending unsatisfying. If you do the story before fighting Ganon, two things happen. 1. The boss rush before Ganon disappears. And yes, that's right, there's supposed to be a boss rush. If you don't do the story, you fight all 4 Blights in a row, then Calamity Ganon, with absolutely no checkpoints in between. And the second thing that happens, Ganon loses half his health bar. It's just gone. Not only is there no boss rush, you only fight half the final boss. Now think about this for a second. If the player has done everything in the game, they get all this ultimate armor and all these ultimate weapons and all this raw skill, pure skill from mashing those video game pad buttons for literally hundreds of hours. This kid's ready to fight friggin' 10 Godzillas, and instead they get baby Godzilla. If they haven't gotten any of that stuff, if they just waltzed in from the Great Plateau without so much as a pair of pants and are still getting the run and jump buttons confused, they get absolutely curb stomped by this giant climax of a battle against all the bosses in a row before they can even get to Ganon, who himself is harder than anything a dedicated player of the game will ever see. So to say the climax is major problem straight out, you only get the game's climax if you haven't played the game. And there's one really easy solution that makes the climax 50 times better. Really super simple, ridiculously easy. Nintendo could just patch it in and everything would be dandy for everyone forever. You want to hear it? You know what a perfect world looks like? You want to know how to make Breath of the Wild the best video game ever made ever times 2? Switch them. Just switch the endings. Make it so that the default final boss scenario has no boss rush. You only fight Calamity Ganon, and he's at half the health he'd normally have. Then, for every divine beast the player beats, 2 things happen. That beast boss moves to Ganon's chamber, ready for the boss rush, and Ganon gets 1/8 more health for the boss battle. Explain it in canon as, I don't know, Ganon eats all the Blights after you murder them. He got hungry. But point is, making the final battle happen this way sets things up perfectly to reward the player. If the player gets straight off the plateau and runs to Ganon, sure, they can beat him right then and there and barely have to try. And that's the point! They get a totally underwhelming, unsatisfying boss battle, followed by an incomplete ending, because they didn't beat the final boss. They beat a preview of the final boss. So this player, they boot the game back up to go and explore the world they missed. They do all the main story, freeing all the divine beasts, getting all the memories, climbing all the mountains, peeking in every nook and cranny, felling all the worst baddies this game has to offer. They go out there and they prepare themselves. They come back to Hyrule Castle. They are no longer a pantsless loser. They are a pantsless warrior. Ganon sends an army of boss fights after them, the player eating their way through their resources they've been accumulating over the last few weeks of playing the game, dropping the Blights one by one, until finally fighting Ganon himself, and holy jeez, this guy's got a health bar double the size as the first time. And the player's already spent a lot of time fighting the Blights at this point. There's a lot of investment writing here. The longer the walk from the last checkpoint, the more intense the desire to grasp victory. So they get this giant adrenaline rush. And that moment, that one moment when they deal the final blow, just pure gaming bliss.
You, Link, are the hero of Hyrule.
I won!
And what do you guys think? Swapping the ending battles a good idea or bad idea? Let me know what you think of the game's climax, and of course, let me know what you think about this video in the comments below. Arigato gozaimasu desu for watching, and get out of my house.